So I'm giving up. I've shot a Polaroid every day for 200 days. I'll grant you I did miss a day of this project, but fortunately, apparently this year was a 366 rather than a 365 year because it was a leap year. So by the end of it, I will still have 365 days, assuming I do not miss another day. But that said, we live in the internet age, and I feel like the internet age is pretty stupid. And so what I mean by giving up, I don't really mean that like, I'm gonna stop this project or I'm gonna stop putting time and effort into this or the work I do. I'm just giving up trying so hard. And I'm gonna talk only about the photography world right now because that's what this is. I don't wanna talk about any other industry or world or whatever, but the photography world on social media and YouTube and just the internet in general has embraced a sameness. Everything kind of looks the same. If you're in the film photographer community, you're in this box where you shoot gas stations and old cars and simple landscapes and all that stuff. If you're like a digital photographer, you're traveling, shooting crazy sunsets, doing reels where you're flashing photos by really fast. And it's like, I scroll on reels and I just feel like I just see the same stuff over and over. Whether I'm more interested in film stuff that day, it shows me the gas stations. It shows me the, Portra 400. Then if I am going into digital photography, it shows me the Sony influencer people who are, on a boat in the middle of the ocean or underwater with an underwater housing or whatever. And it's like, you feel this pressure to fit in one of those boxes, especially when you're starting out. Everyone's just doing what they think works rather than getting deep on their own point of view. And I've been really guilty of this throughout my entire photography career because of insecurities I've had, because of the fact that I'm trying to make a living off of my photography work. I don't want to do real estate photography anymore. I don't want to do wedding photography anymore. I want to make work and then sell it, or make my creative process, going deeper into my creative process and making interesting things. I want to make that maintainable. And maybe that's too tall of an order nowadays. Maybe that's not possible. I don't know. I happen to know that it is possible because I've been doing it, but I'm just saying, like, it sounds ridiculous to a lot of people that I just want to shoot double exposures or whatever, and that pays for the air conditioning bill that constantly is whirring in the background. This Polaroid 365 project has exposed me to that, because at the beginning of this project, I looked at it one way, where I was just trying to take really cool photos that people would like. So, I would take very simple things like a staircase, which very popular in film world to do minimalistic staircase, whatever. Maybe I would travel so that my photos could be more interesting, like go to Vegas or go to New York or all of those things. At the beginning of this project, I would often phone it in at home because I knew that the travel would make my photos more interesting, and I would put all my effort into that. Traveling is a creative crutch, especially now, because we sit here and we think, well, I travel so that I can take interesting photos. The real test is to get deeper in our own point of view in our regular life and be creatively resourceful with what we have. And quite honestly, that's all people really want to see. They want to scroll on their phones and see a different life other than theirs. That's what people want from social media. They want to be entertained, or they want to learn something, or they want to live vicariously through somebody else, or all of the above, right? Getting on a plane and going somewhere crazy and taking cool photos, that's the easy route. But not everybody has money to go to America Samoa or all these other places, or go on road trips across the country to go shoot photos of gas stations in New Mexico or wherever. So what this project has made me realize is, like, I'm at home a lot, almost every day. 200 days of the year, I travel a little bit of it, but most of the time I'm at home. So I have to just embrace the fact that I'm at my house a lot. And it's made me notice my home. It's made me notice that, like, I find my home boring a lot of the time. But when I focus on aspects on it, I'm like, well, actually, that's pretty interesting, and maybe people actually want to see that. And the fact is, they do. People want to see an aspect of your life that may be interesting to them. Maybe it's not interesting to you, but it's interesting to them. And I feel like my knee-jerk was to always jump outside of myself and be like, well, I'm not that interesting, so I have to go focus on things that aren't about me. But the fact is, the only originality I have is me. That's it. That's all I've got. I'm not Basquiat. I'm not like this creatively transcendent person. I'm Will Malone, and I'm decent with a camera, and I like what I like, and I have my own tastes and interests and whatever. And so I've just kind of settled into just making what Will Malone makes. And it's been kind of a relief to think that way. And maybe social media is not the place for the most interesting stuff. I grant that. I get it. Like, it's just the more advanced you get in photography, the deeper you have to go to find things that you haven't seen before. And I realize that there's part of that going on with me where I've been doing this for, 15 years or whatever. And so I just feel like I've seen everything before. And so there is some aspect of that I'm struggling with. But at the end of the day, am I contributing to that sameness? Even though I know I shouldn't be. Even though in my soul I want to do something else. And I just like doing what I do. And that's kind of what this 365 project has kind of like reminded me of. It's just like, it doesn't matter if today's photo is good or not. I just need to capture it. And, maybe in a few years I look back and I'm like, oh, that photo's actually pretty good. I just at the time didn't see it. And just have to accept the boring parts of life. And I have no control over where it goes from there. The algorithm makes no sense. It's a mystery to everybody. YouTube metrics, I don't know. Maybe on a Wednesday, people just weren't clicking thumbnails that had green in them. Who knows? Who knows how any of it works? I just know that I'm just making what I make at this point. And if you find it interesting, cool. I just am doing what I do. And I think if other photographers on social media could feel that sort of like comfort and try less hard and just put out what they put out, I think social media would actually be a way more interesting place, to be honest. But I did shoot 200 Polaroids this year, so let's go through some of my favorites from the last 40 days or so. I think that'll be fun. So I shot this in Atlanta as I was in traffic on the interstate. And I had it on double exposure mode, and I did basically what I refer to as a chaos double exposure, and I just shot what was there twice. I didn't really think about how they fit together. I think this image fits under this one because I think that shadow is the underpass, and I was able to imprint the city on it. I believe that's how that worked, but it was not on purpose at all. Okay, so this one is kind of a sequel to that one that I hung huge the other day, Wild Palms from Miami. And I shot this in Gulf Shores, Alabama when I was there a few weeks ago. It's a little dark, it was cloudy this morning, but overall I like this kind of mysterious forest thing, and I'm kind of working on a series of these, and we'll talk more about that soon. I got a video about that coming up here soon. Talking about double exposures that aren't portraits. But speaking of double exposures that are portraits, this is one of those that like I was traveling for work, and we're just hanging out, and we went to this really good restaurant, and I like taking photos of my friends, and I like doing it in weird and interesting ways. Sometimes I just wing it, and it's fun, and I like making people small in the frame and then the environment blowing up the rest. So that's kind of my thought process behind that. I've done that for a really long time. I've thought that way for a really long time, and I do it with Polaroids now. So. This one, I don't know. I shoot photos of this spot a lot. I like that old fence. I had to patch some of the fence years ago, and so that's why it's like really bright right there, because it's like new wood next to old wood. And yeah, I don't know. This is just one of those things that I'll look back on and be like, oh yeah, I remember living in that house. And so it's just, I don't know. It's like a thing for me, really. So I've really gotten back into taking photos of my wife again. Part of the reason, in my past projects, I've shot a lot of photos of my wife, but she has a full-time job, and then I'm busy, and then we have a child. So we haven't spent, like when I'm around her now, I don't really like think, hey, let's take the time to take a photo now, because we're just tired and busy. But I've been making more of an effort to go back to that again, because she's my favorite subject. And I don't know, this is really cool. I don't know if you've noticed now, but I use this window all the time for these double exposures because it's just like the best place somebody can stand to make a shadow. And that window is right there. So that's what that is. I use it all the time. It's like a giant light box. Okay, next photo. So this one's kind of fun. We were at the playground with my daughter, and the sun lit up Anna's hair, but she was in shadow. And so I just thought that was cool. She kind of looks like a female Mr. Game & Watch, if anybody understands that reference. Okay, so one thing I've been doing, and I don't know if this is working, but I was like, I accidentally scratched a Polaroid a while back, and I was like, oh, that's kind of interesting. So I purposely scratched this one. So I I took a picture of Anna, small in the frame, like I said I like to do, and then I scribbled with like the end of a pen, but with the pen not retracted, and I scribbled really hard as it was developing. So it kind of looks like I sketched it a little bit. And I don't know, it's kind of cool. And I was doing the same thing here, so I kind of just vignetted it with a pen. And yeah, that's my daughter's silhouette. And I kind of vignetted it, scratched it up. So it looks interesting. You can't necessarily make out the scratching in the light, but I did the same thing here. I made a storm cloud. I wanted to see kind of what it did with color film, and turns out when you scratch up a Polaroid, it's blue because the base is blue. So you get some blue up against the yellow. I think that's kind of cool. Hadn't done a selfie in a while, so that was last Monday. Okay, so this was driving through the Ocoee Gorge. Now you've seen the photo of the floating trees a lot, and this is basically the drive around that area. And I did another double exposure like I did with the Atlanta shot that I showed you just a second ago, where I just kind of did a chaos double exposure, just kind of did double exposure mode and just hit the button a couple times while driving. Don't recommend, taking Polaroids while driving, but this one turned out pretty good, I think. All right, so there's a pressure when you hit days like day 200 or day 100 or day 150 or day, 300 or whatever, to do something really crazy and special. And I've basically rejected that at this point. So yeah, it was about to storm, and I took photos of the storm cloud, and then I took photos of my new siding because, the tree fell and it like ripped the siding off my house. So we got new siding. So this is part of my house, and it's a double exposure of the storm clouds. And it was like looking really ominous out there. I knew I had black and white in my camera, so I just thought that'd be kind of interesting and low key for day 200. And this one, of course, I shot literally yesterday, in the spot that I shoot double exposures, right in front of this door. And yeah, it was my last shot on black and white, so I was like seeing if I could just manage to get away with one photo yesterday using one shot only, which this week was a lot of like one shot weeks where I got away with just taking one Polaroid without wasting any other Polaroids. And I just like this. I had her turn one way for the first shot and then turn the other way for the other shot. And she kind of fused together into this David Lynchian creature blob. And yeah, I don't know. It's dope. I really like silhouettes. I like sub-framing in photos, and this is kind of, I think, an interesting way to do it. And I gotta say, the new black and white Polaroid film, which is all of this is the new black and white Polaroid film, is my new favorite black and white. I don't even use the old stuff anymore. I just buy the new formulation of black and white Polaroid 600 film now because it's so good. It just has way more dynamic range and just way more interesting, way more stable too. But yeah, that's it for today. I think I'm done. I ranted for a while. I don't normally like rant like crazy in these. I hope that made sense. Basically, I'm just having fun just making what Will Malone makes and not adding that pressure of like, would it work better if I did this? Like, would it get more likes or whatever? Because that's ridiculous. And I've just been scrolling on social media, probably too much, and I'm just kind of like bored by all of it right now. And I don't know if that's just like a phase I'm going through or if it's like the state of the industry or what. But it's just like, just photography content really needs something new, I guess. I don't know. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe we should quit looking at it in general and just do our own thing. I don't know. I do know this, that I started another YouTube channel where I could talk about movies. Every once in a while I've talked about movies here and like ham-fistedly connected them to photography, which, those videos sometimes work, but I was like, I want a safe space to where I can talk about movies that I want to talk about. I'm gonna update it only when there's a movie that I want to talk about, but I did put out a video about Twisters, which I really enjoyed. I think the movie rocks, and that YouTube channel is called Will on Films, and you can go subscribe to it. I'll put the link in the description, and I think I'm gonna do a Deadpool and Wolverine one. I'll probably do a, I really want to see that M. Night Shyamalan movie Trap. So there will be some interesting stuff, but it's not gonna be every week, but it'll be it'll be fun. It'll be cool. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe if you want to see more of this Polaroid 365 project and kind of what I've got coming on. I'm excited. I've got some cool photo projects coming up, and I'm excited for you to see them. So you can follow me on Instagram at Will Malone. You can follow my Polaroid Instagram account at RoidRage72, and I will see you next week.